Hey guys, welcome back to another video in which I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on the newly announced Steam Deck by Valve. Kind of a surprise announcement, in my opinion, considering I personally didn't hear anything or any rumors about Valve working on a portable handheld, a gaming device. So they conveniently announced this on the same day that the Switch OLED pre-orders were going to be open. So I'm sure there was some planification ahead on the timing. I think, in my opinion, smart move. I've seen people cancel their Switch OLED pre-orders in favor of the Steam Deck, and no surprises there. I think a lot of people that were picking up the Switch OLED are people that were kind of like double dipping, just looking for a more, high quality resolution on the Switch. But for the price, I think the Steam Deck is a very viable option. So I'm just gonna go through my thoughts on the system. Just to get it out of the way, I did pre-order one. It was only $5 to put down for a pre-order. I decided to go with the middle. A tier here, which is the 256 gigs. I decided to go for that one, and this is the reason why. Let's start with the basic one. I think this is the reason why a lot of people were considering, canceling their Switch, OLED pre-order, simply because it's only $50 more, and you get basically a quote unquote, almost like a laptop or a gaming device, handheld gaming device. That it's pretty good. It's supposed to be equivalent in terms of performance and power to a PS4 and or Xbox One, which to me is pretty impressive, having that in a portable form factor, being able to play a PS4 type of level performance in your hands. That sounds pretty good for me. And for $400, I think it's a very attractive price point, considering the Switch is only like 350, I think, the OLED version. So I decided to go for the middle one because the storage is obviously much larger, 256 gigs, and it comes with a actual SSD as opposed to kind of like a flash memory of the lower version. So obviously it's more expensive, $530. But if you want to go all the way out, you can double that storage capacity if you pay $650. In my opinion, the middle one offers the best value because you can always expand the storage by using SD cards. Obviously, you have a benefit of the SSD drive here to play games at a much faster storage and access speeds. But I figured, I can use the 256 gigs to play the demanding games, like the 3D games, and then I can use the the SD slot to save indie games and games that don't require super fast reading speeds. So that was my thoughts behind my pre-order of the middle package here. But as you can see, the prices, they were interviewing, Lord Gaben, Gabe Newell. He was sort of complaining that they had to overcome some challenges to achieve these price points, and I can see why. If it's a miniature PS4 that you're going to have in your hands, I think the price point is probably adequate in terms of the parts and all the features. But the cool thing is, it does have a brand new AMD chip here. As you can see, it's custom made for this particular system. Your Steam library anywhere, you're going to be able to play, according to them, pretty much any Steam games. So for me, it's a no-brainer. As you guys probably know or may not know, I have close to 800 Steam games that I've been accruing over the course of I think 10 years. I've had my Steam account for 10 years, and it's pretty easy to get a lot of games during the sales for dirt cheap or through Fanatical or Humble Bundles. So for me, it's a no-brainer having that portable option to play my Steam library at anywhere that I want. So that's pretty cool. It does have some thumbsticks, and there's a dock, kind of like similarly to the Switch. that's coming in the future. Unfortunately, that's not included in the price point, unsurprisingly. But this is something that I will definitely look into purchasing because I prefer gaming here. As you guys can see on my couch, I have my Sony TV there. And my laptop here is not a pretty big screen, so having that I guess you know you know just bigger screen, and the dock will help with the cost, which is pretty cool. So let's just go through more of the properties. Unfortunately, let's see if they have a specs section. Let's go to the steamdeck.com, but the resolution, I think the max resolution is only 720p, which is, it may not sound a lot, but I think that the pixel density it's more than adequate. So for a handheld system like this, I think it's more than adequate. And as you guys can see here, it has a USB-C port. It has the trackpads here, which is pretty cool for games that require mouse and keyboard type of inputs. As you can see here, it has the back trigger panels for modern games, for more modern games, or for more input options, which is pretty cool. Speakers there, and of course the fan I guess out fan vents here in the back and the top of the system. I'm sure the thing is going to generate a lot of heat with the processing, depending on the games that you play. Obviously here they're showing Control and Doom Eternal. I think those games are gonna obviously put the system to the test. And as you can see here, they're playing Jedi Fallen Order. Seems to be playing normally. Great performance, great graphics. I think we have the AMD proprietary chip in there. Steam library is going to run on the Steam operating system, which is kind of cool. I think it's going to be optimized, I guess, menus and interface, which is pretty cool. You're going to be able to sign in with your Steam account, and you're done. That's all you need to pretty much do. Here's a track pack for mouse games, and perfect showcase here with Disco Elysium, which is a fantastic game that benefits from using mouse controls. So a very good showcase here with Disco Elysium for the trackpad. Here they're just showing how easy it'll be. You can play demanding games like Control. My concern is, and I have three concerns that I want to share with you guys. Let's just keep going, and then I'll tell you what are my three concerns. Here are the three tiers. We already discussed it. I put a pre-order for the middle one. Speed, regional availability. Obviously, I'm in the U.S., so not too worried about that. Yeah, I'm excited for this. I think as I mentioned before, I have three main concerns that I want to share with you guys. One of them is the positioning of the face buttons. As you guys can see here, they're on the top right corner. It looks like it'll be very uncomfortable to hold and put your thumbs kind of like on the top right corner. Fortunately, I think IGN, the reviewer that had early access to the Steam Deck, he mentioned that it was not an issue for him, at least, and that quite the opposite. It was actually it felt very good, very ergonomic in your hands. The design was very solid and thought out. So again, that's the opinion of one person. These things vary. We all have our own preferences, and I have pretty big hands, so I'm wondering how it'll work for me. It's good to hear that the early impressions are that people were not having issues in terms of using the face button. So that's my number one concern. I think it may not be a huge issue, but we'll see. My number two concern obviously is battery life. When you play games like this one right here, Jedi Fallen Order, very 3D, very graphics intensive game. According to the specs here, the battery estimation is between 2 to 8 hours. So not great, understandably so. Just because I think games like this one, the Star Wars games, for example, it'll be on the lower end, 2 to 3 hours of battery life maybe. And then if you're playing like indie games, that are not too demanding, like for example, Super Meat Boy or something like that. I think those will be on the upper end of the eight. It's 7 to 8 hours. So me personally, I have a lot of indie games, a lot of quote unquote older games. So hopefully I get a good battery life out of it. But again, I'm also looking towards getting that dock when it comes out. So that'll be a good solution if you don't want to be on handheld mode the whole time. So that's my number two concern. And my number three concern is the actual, I guess, playability. And by that I mean Valve is claiming that you'll be able to play any Steam game right off the bat. My concern is like the input methods of certain games. Like I'm going to show you guys, for example, Black Mesa here, which is a remake of the first Half-Life game. It's a game that I really want to play, and I actually started it playing through the GeForce Now service. I have an NVIDIA Shield device here, Android device, an Android TV device that's plugged into my TV here. And I ran into some issues because, as you guys can see here, let me show you, Black Mesa in particular is a partial controller support. So for systems like GeForce Now, that creates some problems. Like the games that have native controller support, they work just fine. But with games like Black Mesa and another game here that I have as an example is Gunfire Reborn, partial controller support. That's obviously on the developers. That's up to the developers to provide full controller support. But I'm wondering if that's going to be an issue. Hopefully it's not. We'll see what happens. But that's kind of like my concern. I want a device that's ready to play, that it's very seamless, and just you hit on the play button and you're able to play without any issues. One of the things that I hate about PC gaming is that sometimes you have to go to the settings. Sometimes you have to change your graphics accelerator, your graphic card. You have to, even with Steam here on my own laptop, I had to go through some loops to play, for example, Sonic Racing Transform, the card Sonic Racing game. There were some graphic cards, I guess, settings that I had to go through, which was a little bit annoying. But nevertheless, I was able to do that. So I hope it works right off the bat, and that'll be a cool thing if they manage to do that. And finally, I think the potential of this system is great. I mean, you can literally play any game under the sun in this system, and by that I mean they were claiming that even though it's going to have a Steam operating system, you'll be able to install Windows or any like Linux-based operating systems, which means that you can technically install games from the Microsoft store, meaning you'll be able to play Game Pass games. You'll be able to use the browser to play streaming services or games like xCloud, Stadia, Amazon Luna, GeForce Now. Obviously, you'll be able to play those Steam games by downloading them. But if you want to play some of those streaming services, they'll be at your fingertips. And also, goes without saying, but emulation. This has the potential to be the ultimate emulation machine. I mean, if this thing has the power of a PS4 or an Xbox One type of deal, it'll be able to emulate games up to, I want to say the PS2 era, GameCube era, without any issues, technically. Maybe PS3, that's a little bit more demanding, a little bit more complicated. But if we're able to get, emulation that's all the way up to the PS2, GameCube, Xbox era, man, this thing has a lot of potential, especially with the micro SD card slot. You can have your own cartridges for like Super Nintendo games and Dreamcast games, separate cards for everything. So I think the potential for this system is limitless. And of course, there are some drawbacks. Obviously, there is no physical media per se for this system, but again, if you're looking to do that, you have other options like the Nintendo Switch or the Vita or 3DS, whatever older systems. But again, the potential that this thing has, if you don't mind owning digital games or subscribing to digital subscription services, I think it's a really, really cool, I guess, system. A little bit on the pricey side, but expected considering the power and the potential of the system. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. Unfortunately, my pre-order says that I won't get mine until Q1 of 2022. So it's still a long ways before I get this on my hands and other customers for that matter. But when the time comes, hopefully I'll be able to enjoy it. Hopefully it'll be able to work just fine. And it's an exciting new, I guess, system that Valve surprised everyone by announcing it. So yeah, that's it for now. These are my thoughts on the Steam Deck. Feel free to add me on Steam, SNES Mapper. Thank you guys for watching the video, and I'll see you all later. Take it easy.